Okay, this is Will Terry, and I am interviewing Tom Gilson, my brother-in-law, and programmer of my ebooks, and he's just going to answer a few questions here. Okay? You ready?
Fire away.
Okay. Did you think that programming Will's ebooks would be a waste of time?
Well, first of all, actually yes, but I think, to begin with, I think programming is probably not a good word to use when it comes to making ebooks. Formatting the ebooks and compiling the ebooks, I think, is probably a better word. There's no real algorithmic issues to them, although there can be a lot of different facets to making an ebook that bring into play a fair amount of computer expertise. I don't think we could really call it programming.
Okay.
But to answer your question, yeah, I figured if I made $1 a day for a few months off of your ebooks, I would be doing good. And frankly, I didn't think I would be making that much, but I'm making much more than that, and quite happy about it.
All right. Okay. How much time does it take you to program a typical children's ebook?
Typical children's ebook.
I used the word program again. I guess I should have said format.
Well, look, the hard part is doing the research and compiling all the programs that you need and getting the first ebook done. Okay, that takes a significant amount of time and work and research. After that's done, it's just I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's just following the same steps that you learned in the beginning. It's just doing exactly the same thing that you did.
Okay, so after you've been practiced, how much time do you think it would take you? With the knowledge and know-how?
If I'm given a set of JPEG images, well formatted in the proper orientation and proper resolution, I can do a kid's ebook in probably of 2 hours work. Now, there are some people, I'm sure, big ebook processing houses that can do it much faster because they have scripts that they've written to automate a lot of the things that I do manually. But when I do an ebook, I have to put it on the Nook and the Kindle, and I have to make sure every page is correct, and I double check all the metadata, and I have to make sure that everything works properly first. So that's a little bit time consuming.
Okay.
But I would say a couple hours of work.
Okay.
But initially, learning about the software involved and learning about all the different formats and downloading the proper stuff, that was several days.
Okay. Knowing what you know about the Nook, Barnes & Noble's Nook, Apple's iPad and iPhone, Amazon's Kindle, and some of the Android devices, as a programmer, someone who knows more about the different devices and what it takes to format for those devices, which one do you think is the easiest to format an ebook for?
Well, first of all, the two main ebook formats out there are Epub and Moby. The Kindle uses the Moby format, and the Amazon Nook and Apple and Google books use the Epub format. So they're very similar in terms of the time they take, and I guess it depends on what tools that you use. For Epub, I use a program called Sigil, and it works pretty well.
Can you spell that?
Sigil. But you know, there are other programs out there that people may use. Now that's creating the ebooks. I think working with Apple is much more difficult than working with, for example, Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble and Amazon are very, very easy to work with. Apple is not, but you know, we've got your ebooks up on Apple now. It took weeks and weeks to do it, and I have a Hackintosh computer. It's not a Mac computer, but if I'm not mistaken, you need to have a Mac in order to upload stuff to the Apple iBooks store. But I was able to circumvent that by my Hackintosh knowledge. So you may, if you don't know how to use Mac software, you don't have a Mac, you may find it very difficult to work with Apple.
Okay, so and with our experience, if let's say you were starting out right now, which retailer would you be the most excited to publish your first ebook to?
Well, certainly Barnes & Noble has been the biggest, you know, the biggest moneymaker for you and I, for your ebooks. The problem with Amazon right now is that it doesn't have a native color device. Although I know that there are Amazon Kindles in the works that will support color. So it's not the best for kids' ebooks. Although the Kindle, Amazon does have apps for iPhone and the iPad, I believe, which do support color. So does Barnes & Noble. So if you want a Kindle ebook to display in color, then the iPad or the iPhone is good. The problem with the iPhone is that with a typical kid's book, with images only, the text is too small to read. And so, unless you make your book specifically for, you know, e-readers, a lot of children's books that have been written in the past that are trying to be converted now have texts that are too small to read on small devices like Androids and iPhones. So you know, that has to be taken into consideration. Also with Barnes & Noble, with the Nook and the Nook Color, there is no limit on the size of images. With the Kindle, with the Moby format, the original Kindle specification said that your images cannot be over 61 or 62 kilobytes. Now that doesn't allow you to get a really decent resolution and a really decent sized image like you can on the Nook Color. The Kindle was not really meant, the Kindle spec, the Moby spec was not really meant to take into consideration ebooks that are all images. And so that is a limitation with the Moby spec as it stands right now. Hopefully that'll change in the future so that Amazon will support larger, high-res color images, and then children's books and image-only books will be a lot better on that format.
Okay, that you bring up a good point with books that are that people want to convert that may have already been written, or that didn't take into consideration the size of the iPhone and perhaps other devices. So, as a formatter, if someone had too much text for a page, so in other words, the text displayed too small, are there workarounds for that are easy to do?
Well, okay. On an ebook, ebooks were meant to. When the original designers of the ebook various ebook formats sat down at their desks and their round tables, they were thinking about essentially HTML, free-flowing, resizable text that has a few embedded images in it. They weren't thinking about ebooks that were all images. They wanted you to be able to change the size of the text. They wanted you to be able to change the margins and so on and so forth. They were thinking about reading, Dostoevsky and Hemingway and stuff on your e-readers. And most people do read those kind of books. They read novels. But so the embedded text can change size if you are using this sort of HTML format. But if you're using an image-only book, then the text really can't change size unless it's an app where you can zoom in, like on the iPhone. An iPad, you can zoom in on the images. But I'm not so sure that somebody really wants to do that all the time. I just turned down a job that was offered to me last week, where a woman wanted to convert an ebook to the Amazon and the Barnes and Noble format, and I had to show her. I put up a couple test pages on the Nook Color, which is one of the bigger e-readers. It's 1024 pixels wide by 600 pixels high, and the image fitting in full screen on that Nook Color, the words were not readable. The text in the original book was so small that it wasn't readable. Well, I would say it was barely passable on the Nook Color, and there's no way it would have been visible on an Android or an iPhone device. So I made a video for her, and I uploaded it, and I showed her what the problem was. And I said, in my opinion, you're going to have to, it's not going to work as an ebook. So she hasn't gotten back with me yet. I think she understands what the limitations are.
Mm-hmm. It's neat that our neighbors decided to do some fireworks right now. So that's what you're hearing in the background. Okay, so a few months ago, I uploaded a tutorial from my friend Von Brimhall to make your own ebook using InDesign, and you checked that out. What did you think of that tutorial?
Well, I don't have InDesign. I know a lot of people use InDesign, but I don't have it, and it's not necessary to use it. So I didn't follow it. I know that he wrote it, and actually, Vaughn, a few months ago when I was first getting started in ebooks, Vaughn and I were corresponding on one of the ebook forums, and neither of us knew. We had met each other before, but neither of us knew who the other one was on the forum. So I don't know. I mean, it looked well written, but I haven't really tried it.
Okay. I am going to post that again for anybody. It's a free download, and I'll just put it below this video. Okay, and where do you see the future of ebooks going? Do you see them gaining in popularity? Do you see them holding where they are, waning?
everything looks, the skies are blue, baby. I mean, honestly, I don't know if I will ever own a paper book again. Okay, I've got an iPhone and I love reading. I carry with me everywhere I go, and I have tons of books on it. You can download tens of thousands of public domain books from Gutenberg.org. All of the classics, you can get them in Moby format and Epub format. And I have the Kindle app, the free Kindle app on my iPhone, and I read a lot of books on that. It's got a built-in dictionary. You just touch a word. It's beautiful, and I really don't see myself buying or needing another paper book as long as I live. I mean, I think it's just going to get better from here, and people are going to catch on. There are now all sorts of new e-ink devices. They've got rollable, flexible e-ink devices that you can roll up, and battery power is getting better. Yeah,
and of course the price is going to be coming down over time too.
Yes.
Okay, so is there any other information that we didn't cover that you think people that might stumble on my blog might be interested in concerning the formatting of ebooks or anything like that? Or any advice or anything like that?
Not that I can think of. I think we
pretty much covered
it all.
Okay. If someone was interested in having you format their book, how can they get a hold of you?
Go to yopnik.com/publish.
And I'll put that on the screen right here.
And read exactly what I need from you first, and then you can contact me. You can contact me there through my website, and we'll go from there. You can see my prices and how I work, and there's some things that you need to understand first that you should read before we get started.
Okay. Well, thanks. And this was Tom Gilson that we had on. Again, my brother-in-law, Will Terry's brother-in-law, and he's been the programmer for the ebooks that I've done, and everything has been really fun, and that kind of wraps up this little session here. So thanks a lot for letting us interview you.
Thank you.